live, and today we're going to be talking about the very first T20 in the series between England and India at the Ahmedabad Cricket Stadium. And the first match is over, and England have, well, let's be honest, they've wiped the floor with India today in very convincing fashion. Just never really looked like it was ever going to be in doubt, the result from the second over onwards, where England just put a chokehold on the match. And they just kept it going all the way through. To talk about the whole game, I'm very excited, of course, to have with me Anam Nadeem Armaan Kirmani, my friend. And joining me is a very, very special guest today, a colleague from BBC TMS. It is Mr. Daniel Norcross. Dan, welcome to the show. England won today, so it's only fair to start with you. I think a lot of people have been kind of surprised by this result. Are you amongst them, or did you see this coming?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, they're two really, really good teams. They're the best two teams in the world. And so they're ranked the best two teams in the world. So if you come up against the best team in the world, which is England, they have the capacity to beat anybody really, really well. A shellacking, a marmalising, a destruction, an evisceration. It was, I guess that was the surprise. It was the ease with which it was done. And I say ease. I mean, it was just spectacular. The bowling really was spectacular. And it ruined the game as a spectacle. Yet again, England in India, and the game doesn't go the full distance. It's just typical. When are we going to get a full game of cricket?
Well, hopefully soon, Dan. I'm going to get your thoughts on gold chains in a minute, because I think we've got to talk about the important things on the show. But I'll ask Anam first. Anam, that was really, really comprehensive from England. And as Dan said, started with the bowling. I mean, Adil Rashid, Jofra Archer on top. If you survive them, then you've got to deal with Mark Wood. If you survive him, you've got to deal with Ben Stokes, with
Sam Curran.
Sam Curran came later. I mean, before them, they even had Chris Jordan. Like, it's a relentless bowling attack that England have. Like, who can anybody beat them right now, do you think?
Yeah, but the thing with India is they lose the first match. They give you hope, like, yeah, look, we're beatable. And then they come back with a bang. So I'm not going to, rule them out completely. Obviously, India and England are the best two teams in the world right now in terms of T20. But the way England went on with their game today, it was so good to see. Fast bowling at its best, pace after pace, like Mark Wood and Jofra Archer with their bowling 145, 146, 147. Like, there's no time for Indian batsmen to breathe. And then with Adil Rashid bowling the opening over and then getting Kohli as well. I don't know, man. It was happening so fast that I was wondering has Kohli actually gone for a duck, or like, is this actually happening? So yeah, it was so refreshing to see, actually. And after what England went through in the test matches, it's actually very refreshing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. And I think it was one of those things. Armaan, you kind of called it. You made a very bold prediction in our last show that England are going to win this series 5-0, right? That's Glass level bold, right? And I like it. We'll talk about that a bit more, but let's talk about some of the performances, right? For India, if we're looking from an Indian perspective for a moment, Virat Kohli, another failing. This is worrying now, isn't it? Like, post baby Virat Kohli's not been doing the job for India.
I think it's evident that he's carrying a lot of baggage with him to the field. I mean, if you look at his body language, even during the test, these series, especially after what happened in Australia, they got humiliated. He had to leave. They win the series under new leadership with Ajinkya Rahane. There's this whole thing going on with Sharma. They're not getting on. It's not a happy camp. Then gets battered on a fair wicket in the first test. Then they have to do this thing with the same venue. They create a completely different wicket. By the way, this guy that we had, Axar Patel, he could turn it this much in the test at the same venue today, ripping it as much as he could with his fingers. That ball's just going straight. And then you guys told me that these wickets are fair game. Come on. Anyways, the fact of the matter is I predicted 5-0. I respectfully disagree with my guess, even though there was a peta today that was given to India, that these are the two best teams in the world. These are two very good teams, but you should have watched the PSL 2 weeks ago. Watch it again in 3 weeks. Pakistan are coming for you. See you all at the World Cup. This is going to be a demolition. 5-0 would be lovely.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still on. It's still on. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people, to be fair, Armand, I'll agree with you and say Pakistan need to be in that conversation on the basis of recent performances. And, everything will be on the table come November. But Dan, let's break it down a little bit more, right? Adil Rashid starts beautifully, very economical. Jofra Archer, it's just he kept putting it on that length every single time at pace. until he got the inside edge and the wicket. What is it? And give me a scientific answer to this if you can, right? What is it about wearing a gold chain that makes you a better fast bowler?
Well, it's momentum as you run into the crease, isn't it? Because acceleration is mass times something or other. And I don't know. I got to see in physics O level. I mean, but I reckon the weight of the gold gives him like a heavier ball, and it just pings off the surface that much harder, and it bounced more, doesn't it? I mean, time after time, you sort of get Kohli on the glove. It was vicious stuff, and the Indian batters looked like they were going to try to play him out, and then they thought, oh, what? We played him out, and then Mark Wood's going to bowl at 150 kilometres an hour. Have we got any overs we can actually face? Because it wasn't just like, I mean, Archer's gold chains must also be a bit distracting. They say that, they talk about fast bowlers that you can pick up out of the hand. Maybe if your eye is distracted by this gigantic wave of like serious bling that's got to be worth, like, you're looking at that going, there's about 100 grand's worth of gold there. And before you know it, the ball is on you in a flash. But one thing I really do want to say, though, is that I'm always scared of Indian skullduggery. In the first Test match, they picked the wrong team. And in the first T20, they picked the wrong team. And they always do this. So Rohit Sharma wasn't there. In the press conference yesterday, he was definitely playing, and then he's not. They've picked 4 anchors in the top 6. It's a T20. You're going to hit it out the ground. They've picked 3 spinners on a seamer's paradise. I mean, they're not going to make that mistake again, presumably. It'll be a different team, and it'll be, I mean, I don't know whether it'll be a different result, but I think it'll be a very different game.
Well, that's something to look forward to on Sunday, and we'll see if things change that far. I think a lot of fast bowlers in world cricket right now are on eBay or Amazon looking for deals on gold chains, because there's something there, I remember Waqar Yunus back in the day with the gold chain. He rocked it. Anam, as Dan said, the Indian batting order doesn't look quite even. Shreyas Iyer, though, played a pretty impressive knock today. Basically anchored that team, got them to like a respectable total. What did he do right that everybody else did wrong?
I don't know. I think his shot selection was maybe better than the rest of the players, and he was much composed in the way he was batting. But then again, in his post-innings interview, he did mention, and I remember you tweeting it as well, that it's a 2-pace deck, right? I don't know. When you see Jason Roy and Butler on the other hand, they were pretty comfortable with whacking the ball out of the ground. So I think it's maybe the Indian batsmen weren't ready for the challenge. Maybe they were in their zone. They were prepared to play a longer batting lineup. But in the mix, they forgot that they're playing a T20 and they need to score as well. Maybe. And no, you've not asked about the moment of the day, because I was so prepared for the moment of the day.
Sorry.
As well.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I promise you, it's coming. Don't worry. In fact, let's do it now.
And I hope mine doesn't get used before. So let me get it out of my system before anybody else picks it up.
Just one.
It has to be Rishabh Pant's reverse sweep to Archer. The way he played that shot, the audacity, it's crazy. I mean, he did that to Anderson as well, and now he's done that to Archer. So the audacity is crazy. I don't know what was going on in his head to play that shot. It's crazy.
I know what was going on in his head. He couldn't hit any of the other balls, so he couldn't hit anything in front of square because it was too quick. So he thought, I'm just going to run out of the way of it and flail the bat at it. I mean, it was a brilliant shot. It was absolutely fantastic. But I saw Ollie Pope do that to Anrich Norcross in a Test match in South Africa. So I mean, these players, these younger players, anybody under 26 is basically has got no fear of death. So they just do the most ridiculous things. One of these days, they're going to smash it straight into the grill of their helmet, and it's going to get stuck there, and they're going to look really daft.
Yeah, for sure. Armaan, go on and tell me your moment of the day.
My moment of the day was seeing Virat Kohli absolutely forget how to bat for like a third duck in a row that I've more or less seen. Or maybe not in a row, but definitely in this series with the Test included. My moment of the day is just to see the disintegration of the world's greatest batsman into somebody that's struggling to, even clear the infield in a T20 right now. So as I think Anam said it earlier, I mean, like, it's reached a stage where, by the way, I've said this before on your show, on our show here, that he's my favorite batsman that I've probably ever seen, barring maybe Lara and a bit of Sachin, right? But when he gets out in a fashion like that, you've got to think, like, was this some sort of replay? I mean, is this actually happening? Has Kohli got another duck? He has more ducks than anybody else in 2021, and we're 3 months in, and apparently this is the best team in the world. What's going on?
He should be renamed. He should be renamed Cooley, I think, with like 3 O's in the middle.
You're onto something.
Yeah, but you also wonder if it's Ahmed Shahzad in disguise. Is it Ahmed Shahzad playing or is it Virat Kohli? You have to wonder.
Wow.
In our last show, we told you that Shan Masood had outscored him in the last 12 innings. Today, I can tell you, he's still outscoring him.
Yeah, I mean, this Ahmed Shahzad, Shan Masood, Virat Kohli's really taking it hard at the moment. I think to a certain extent, Dan, you can get away with these things when you're winning, right? Like in the test matches, people were talking about Kohli's lack of runs and everything, but they won the series and he was captain, so they kind of let him have that one. Now that they've lost, I imagine a lot of some of these Indian TV shows and the post-match breakdown, some of the critics, they're going to go after him hard, surely, right?
Yeah, well, I see a lot of this. Indian fans talking about the fact he hasn't scored 100 for over 400 days in any form of cricket. And there's like a counter. I think there's probably a counter on the internet that says something like days since Virat scored 100. And there's lots of very weeping fans that can't quite believe it. It's like God is dead. It's a very, very strange run of form. And I don't quite know what to put it down to. That wasn't my moment of the day, though. I'm going to have 2 moments of the day because I'm greedy, but one of them I'm going to elide over very quickly. Because for me, the greatest moment of skill in the day was KL Rahul's incredible catch on the boundary and flip back. But, that's just highlights reel. My genuine moment of the day was when Malan gently pushed the ball back in the air off Washington Sundar and scunned Johnny Bairstow on the head as he's trying to get out of the way. And Washington Sundar's gone absolutely mad at him. He's just screamed at him because he couldn't take the catch because, Bairstow's quite a big guy and he was kind of in the way and everyone was like that. And suddenly there was this huge fight. It was like a playground situation. It was like exactly being back at school. And, if you can't love a moment like that, then frankly, you've got no soul.
Yeah, I don't think Washington Sundar's quite analysed the situation there. There's a big weight class difference in those two fighters. I know exactly who I put my money on in that fight. Yeah, I mean, you never know. You could have seen the game had a few moments. You could have seen another obstructing the field appeal like we saw in Sri Lanka West Indies game. I don't think you would, but it was theoretically out there. Those are great moments as well. When you move on from this, right? If you're like the Indian coach, Anam, right, and you're trying to work out what you do differently in the next game, where do you begin? Is it a complete right? We got to chop and change. Is it just a case of guys? We just were massively impatient. Or is it a case of like, listen, like go out there and play, or I'm going to give you a penta, like Armaan was saying earlier. Anam's in deep contemplation about this, or her screen is frozen, one or the other.
I think her screen is frozen. If you want, I'll come in until she comes back. It's absolutely no issue at all because I know Anam is in deep contemplation, so her answer is going to be really big. But let me be very, very clear with you. The Indian batting lineup has just not performed. We've had 4 test matches. We're now in the first T20. They got humiliated out in Australia. I've got to tell you something very, very clearly. I think we're overrating this Indian side by a huge margin. Look, I know they're the almighty powerful. They've taken over the ICC. They can pick when they want to hold the World Cup and take it from anybody else. I understand, right? Like they've got King Kohli, they've got King Sharma, they've got the world's best spinner. I get it. I get the hype. But they're just not as good as you're making them out to be. They can't hold a bat. They have to make wickets that are turning to help their bowlers. King Kohli isn't getting a run. Sharma isn't even making their team right now. So let's just call a spade a spade. Maybe this team isn't as good as all of you guys are hyping them up to be. They might be the most popular team because they got 1.6 billion people tweeting every match. So they're just not very good. And right now, if I was their coach, I'd line them all up in the dressing room and be like, wait, what's going on? Do you remember how to play this game? Do you know what a cricket bat is? Do you know what a wicket is that's actually flat rather than mid-innings coming out and saying, oh, it was a 2-paced wicket. That's why I got 56 and 178 balls and we only made 120. Stop making such ridiculous excuses and bat.
Have you just been going through a feedback training course? Because I'm sure that is exactly how to get the best out of people. Oi!
Listen, I know Ravi Shastri. I know Ravi Shastri. The man hit 6 sixes once upon a time. That's exactly how he'll be dealing with these underachieving Indian batsmen. I promise you.
So that's a strong words to say the least from Armaan there. Dan, is there a sense of truth to something that he's saying? That well, I'm sure you'd agree with some of it. There is a sense of hype about this Indian team, and I mean, it can't be a coincidence. There's a huge amount of Indian cricket marketing. Everybody wants a piece of the IPL, so they're overly flattering to India. There's a lot of positivity and positive sentiment extended to the Indian team. Is there a chance we're kind of overstating their greatness and their skills at the moment?
Yeah, well, we do that all the time, don't we? Because that's what sport is. It's all about hype. The fact is that today they just didn't bat very well, and they didn't have Rohit Sharma and they didn't have Jasprit Bumrah, who are two players who will walk into their World T20 team. I mean, they'll be playing, won't they? I think, as we said earlier, they'll have a look at that and think we need somebody different, like Surya Kumar Yadav in the middle order. They need somebody who's going to go hard. They haven't got that. Actually, I am with you that there is like a bit of hype. Rishabh Pant is a young player. He's not yet an experienced T20 player. It's not a team like England's team, which have been playing white ball together for quite a long time, and they're quite a cohesive unit, and they think they've got their method. What we were watching today was the Indian team management kind of playing with their method. It was like one side knows exactly what they're trying to do, and the other side doesn't. And we all know, from the PSL, from the IPL, from every T20 franchise tournament, the sides that win are the ones that find a formula that suits their players, and then they repeat it. That's the key. And at the moment, we don't know what India's formula is. I mean, is India's formula to be 48 for 4 off 10 overs? I mean, get on with it. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to do that every time, are they? I mean, they're gonna pick someone to have a whack at number 3 or 4 or 5. At least somebody to have a whack. Hardik Pandya is going to come off at some point. Sharma's going to be back. They'll score more runs. They'll pick a better balanced bowling attack. But today, they were just totally outclassed by a side that bowled brilliantly. I think the other thing is, as you guys, be interested in your views on this. In the PSL, it was basically, apart from the last game, wasn't it? You win if you chase. And it felt a bit like that again today, because the pitch skipped on and got a bit easier to bat on when the dew came and the lights came on. So I think there's a bit of that as well going on, isn't there?
What do you think, Anam?
Yeah, I think I'll absolutely agree on this. And also for the fact that Michael Vaughan earlier tweeted after the win that Mumbai Indians is a better T20 side than the current Indian team. So I think I'll second that there's a method to winning. Obviously, Mumbai Indians have won the IPL 6 times, and they've got a method to winning. And probably it's missing in the current Indian team right now. They'll obviously find it because the World Cup's around the corner, and that's what they're doing right now. Even in the press conferences, Kohli was like, "We're trying to bat more freely now. We don't want to have a conservative approach towards our batting. We want every player to express themselves on the field." So probably they're trying to get around their method, and they'll eventually come through. I don't know. I'm a fan of this Indian team in terms of them producing one batsman after the other, and now they're even producing fast bowlers, to say the least. And I think it's going in their favor. IPL is also around the corner, so you can't rule them out in terms of one T20 right now. They're gonna come back with a bang in the next one.
Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will. Armaan, just because we didn't touch massively on England's successes, what do you think England do anything different, or do they just do business as usual? After a win like that, surely you don't change anything. But is there anything you would tweak?
For England, I absolutely wouldn't if India continued to bat like this. But as we are predicting that India may actually learn how to, bat again on a flat wicket, and if they come back and rejuvenate their batting lineup, I think England might want to look at the middle overs in terms of a spin option. What I found in Asia, especially watching the PSL, is that the spinners can be very, very effective in making sure that the ball isn't coming onto the bat. You can take more wickets. There can be a very attacking option. Right now, I think England are going with their full-on pace attack. However, I think against stronger batting lineups, the New Zealands, the Australias, dare I say, the West Indies and the Pakistans as well, that pace will actually be beneficial for the batting lineup. So if England can develop some spin and some mystery and some guile and some flight, I think it will hold them in good stead, especially because they'll be playing on Indian wickets. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. I told you here first.
Yeah, no, totally. I'll take that advice. I think, India possibly missed a trick as Washington Sundar came into bowl and immediately looked a lot tougher to score off than some of the earlier bowlers. And I just thought to myself, like, why now? Like, why not way sooner? But I'm not going to complain. Adil Rashid, obviously, absolutely superb. And just before we get predictions from everybody, Dan, I'll get you to chime in on this because there's been a little bit of chat about this. It's a bit different from the game, but it's worth talking about. Is Adil Rashid not? Is it possible he's not playing enough Test cricket for England?
Well, is it or is it possible that England don't have any good spinners, and you really wished he was playing for England because they could do with somebody of his quality? Excuse me. Yeah, he's not playing enough Test cricket, but he has got a long-standing elbow injury. Or was it shoulder? I forget. It might be a shoulder. And Test cricket's quite tough, as we found out. I mean, Jofra Archer found it difficult with his elbow. So, I don't think you're going to see Adil Rashid playing Test cricket. England have got a load of Test matches now where they don't have to go to India. They don't have to play two spinners, really. So they found Jack Leach. He does exactly what you want. And he's the perfect English Test cricketer. He's got glasses. He's got no hair. He's not going to go and get his head turned by the IPL. He's not going to go anywhere and suddenly become a superstar and appear on, like naked calendars. He's just going to wheel away and bowl. And that's exactly what we want from our Test cricketers. Him and Dom Sibley just dig in, don't get taken by the IPL. So, I would have always loved to see a leg spinner prosper in Test cricket. We saw Rashid Khan do brilliantly for Afghanistan against Zimbabwe earlier today. But it's not going to happen, so forget it. As far as England are concerned, they're going to try and be the first team that holds the World T20 and the World 50 over World Cup at the same time. And Adil Rashid is probably their single most important bowler. He's the most irreplaceable bowler in that team. So, let him just do that. Don't force him to have to go and bowl pointlessly in Durham, where it's really cold for 5 days with a duped ball on a green top. Leave him alone.
Fair enough. There we go. Well, we encourage that. And if anybody out there wants to see a Jack Lee nude calendar, get in touch and we'll try and get a Kickstarter campaign started. All right, guys, it's been lovely to have you all. Just before we wrap up, the predictions for the next game. Anam, do you expect England to continue this and win the second game? Or do you think India are going to come back and win the next one?
I think India's going to come back and win the next one.
Ooh, I like it. Armaan, I think I know what you're going to say, but tell me anyway.
Go to Dan first. We know what I'm going to say.
They're going to win again, you reckon? England, easy?
I predicted 5-0 pre-series. How can I change it after a demolition job? Listen, if England lose tomorrow, this whole show, or the next game, this whole show will be about not how good India are, but how bad England have played. I've already set my stall out. It's going to be 5-0. 2-0 next game. Let's go.
There you go, Dan. I've introduced you to the Pakistani Glenn McGrath today. Tell me, give me some insight, bro. Look into your crystal ball. Tell me what's going to happen in the next game.
India will produce a snake pit for the next game that'll turn square. Akshay Patel's going to take 7 for 4 in his 4 overs. India will win the toss, bowl England out for 28 in impossible conditions, and then knock off 29 against 2 fast bowlers on a pitch that no longer suits them and it just dies in it. We know what goes on. We know how it happens. All this hope for an England fan always gets extinguished. So, no, this is the high point.
I can't wait to clip that and share it on Twitter later. That's exactly what I was looking for. Guys, pleasure. Thank you, Anam. Thank you, Armaan. And thank you so much to our special guest, Dan Norcross. He's very funny, very entertaining, lovely guy. If you don't already, make sure you follow him and support his work. So we'll be back on Sunday with the next post-match chat after the second T20 in the series. In the meantime, find us on Facebook, YouTube. We're on both of those. Subscribe, follow, comment, all that jazz. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Lovely to meet you all. Bye.